Progress Check 2 summary video. So first, let's look at a little properties of exponents. When you have a power to a power, you multiply the exponents together. When two powers with the same base are multiplied together, then you add those exponents. When you divide powers with the same base, you subtract. And when you have negative exponents, you flip the numbers with the negative exponent to make them positive. That means if they're on the top with a negative exponent, they go to the bottom, and if they are on the bottom with a negative exponent, they go to the top. So first, let's look at 1 over x squared times x to the 17th power. That's equivalent to saying 1 over x squared times x to the 17th over 1. So you can combine and have x to the 17th over x squared. And then, since it's the same base, you subtract the powers, and you have 17 minus 2 equals 15, so x to the 15th should be your answer. Okay, let's look at 2x to the negative 5th, all of that to the 3rd, times y to the negative 3rd. First, order of operations, we're going to take the first part because it's raised to an exponent. So when you see that, it's a power to a power, so we multiply. So you have to distribute the 3 to the 2 and the x to the negative 5th. So you'll have 2 to the 3rd times x to the negative 15th, and then you add the y to the negative 3rd. Now we're not done. We have 2 with negative, so we need to flip them. So you have 2 to the 3rd divided by x to the 15th times y to the 3rd. Okay, so 1 divided by 3x to the negative half. First, let's just look at that bottom piece, 3x to the negative 1/2. Since it's a power to a power, we need to multiply the exponents and distribute the negative 2. So you have 3x to the negative 2, x to the negative 1. X to the negative 2. Now, let's put it back into the equation we started with. So we have 1 over 3 to the negative 2, x to the negative 2. Since those are negatives, we have to flip them to make sure that the exponents are positive. So we end up with 3 squared times x squared. Now for this one, remember, anything raised to the 0 power is 1. That means that first whole thing is 1 because it's raised to the 0 power. So all we have to look at is the second part. So we have 1 times 4s r squared to the 3rd power. Since it's a power to a power, we distribute and multiply those powers out. So you have 4 to the 3rd, s to the 3rd, r to the 6th. There's no negatives, there's no terms to combine, so we're finished. Okay, so let's just take the first piece, and since we have a negative 2, we have a power to a power, so we have to multiply and distribute. So we have 3 to the negative 2, x to the negative 8, and y squared. Since we have negatives, we have to flip the negative exponents to make them positive. So then we get y squared divided by 3 squared times x to the 8th. Now let's add on to the second part, that 6x squared, y to the 5th. And we're going to put that over 1, so we have 2 fractions to multiply by. Now, if you notice, on both of the fractions you have y's on the top, so when you have powers with the same base, you add those together, so you're adding the 2 and the 5. So now on the top we will have y to the 7th times 6x squared. Now if you notice, I have 3 times 3 equals 9 at the bottom. That goes with the 3 squared that's on the bottom in blue. So that changes to 9x to the 8th. And now you can see that we have x squared on top and x to the 8th on bottom. When you have powers with the same base, you subtract those. So you can also combine the like terms on 6 and 9, so you have 2 and 3. So you should end up with 2 y to the 7th, 3 x to the 6th. Now the reason the x to the 6 is on the bottom is 2 minus 8 is a negative number. If that becomes negative, it goes on the bottom. If that number, when you subtract, is positive, it goes on top. that's the end for the summary video, and I hope you're ready for the progress check on March 12th. See you then.